Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Yashika Chopra. It's been really long that I haven't posted anything. It's sunny outside, it's a nice day, and it's a long weekend. So I decided that I should just sit and reflect on one of the courses that I just completed. Yesterday was my last day of the course. So some of you might be assuming that which course I'm talking about. In order to teach in BC, every teacher needs to do a set of courses. So, one of the course that I had to do was about Indigenous education within Canada. So, my target audience for this video would be uh, teachers who are already enrolled in the course or the ones who are still thinking to enroll and they just want to have a sneak peek or they just want to have an idea about what the course is going to be about, what kind of submissions we have to make, and all those things. Moreover, it's just a reflection video. Moving on, each one of us usually gets 2 to 3 options to choose from, that which university we want to do the course from. So I did it from Queen's University, which is in Ontario, digitally. We had 8 modules, and starting with the submissions that we had to make, the major form of submissions were discussion posts, assignments, interactive documents, inquiry project, and e-portfolio. Inquiry project and e-portfolio holds the maximum number of weightage because inquiry project is basically we think of a question in module 1 and we'll get the answer to that question after the course in module 8, using the information that we have gathered in all the modules. And e-portfolio is a form of an assignment in which we gather all the information, everything that we are learning from module 1 to module 8 in one particular space. And I think it's a great form of an assignment because usually we tend to forget the things that we learn in module 1 by the time we reach module 8. But if we have an e-portfolio, we can just refer to it as and when it's required, like I did before making this video. I just went through it, I just recalled, made my notes, and I'm here reflecting my experience of doing the course from Queen's University. So let's get started now. As I mentioned, now I'm going to refer the notes that I made in my journal. So in module 1, basically we introduced ourselves, we acknowledged the land that we are living and working on, we reflected on our current teaching practices, and side by side we also set up goals for the future. We understood the importance of witnessing, which basically means listening with respect and responsibility. Some of us have this tendency to just listen to respond and we act as passive listeners. So we got to know that no, that's not right. We should listen to understand and not just respond. Moreover, we got to know about Indigenous allyship, which means that we should integrate the perspectives of Indigenous people in each and every lesson rather than just isolating it and doing it as another lesson. That should not be the thing. That should be integrated, and the core values should be given to students in everyday sessions that we do with them. Moreover, we created an inquiry question, as I mentioned before. And we'll get the answer to that question towards the end of the course. So, Module 2 focused on how land itself acts as a source of knowledge and land is a teacher. It's not that learning can happen just within the classroom, the real learning happens outside the classroom. And other than that, we also understood that land is a living entity and how it is interconnected with humans, which is a great thing to know. We also learned about two-eyed seeing, which is a concept of combining indigenous perspective with Western worldviews and to teach students that how can they see a particular thing in different ways. Um, Additionally, we understood about First Nations climate action and their ideas of combining indigenous knowledge and Western science to create sustainable solutions for the world. We also read about a lot of Indigenous personalities who have a significant contributions in the field of art, media, sports, and how dedicated they are towards their work they do. And they are really a source of inspiration for today's generation because we people usually get tired and we lose hopes, but then Indigenous people are still trying to keep their identity alive in everybody's heart. We also read about United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. It is basically a global organization which tells us that what are Indigenous people entitled to. And adding to this, we read about Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People Action Plan. This is basically a committee which tells us that how BC is putting into action and what they are doing for incorporating Indigenous perspectives into the lessons that students are learning. I have a real life example for this. Like last week, my students attended a virtual session in which they got a chance to visit Legislative Assembly of British Columbia virtually last week, and a member from their team explained students about different levels of government, their roles, what does MLA do, and how they can be one. It was a really interactive session, and in addition to that, they will get a chance to visit Victoria next month, wherein they'll go in person and see the Legislative Assembly of BC. Um, so, this is what steps the provincial government is taking for students to understand the perspective of Indigenous people. So, Module 8 was all about reflection and talking about steps in which the knowledge that we have gained through this course doesn't just remain in the form of content, and we get to use it in our daily lives. Final note, I would say that educators should create a classroom which honors respect, diversity, and inclusivity. Uh, Additionally, we should make our students more empathetic, thoughtful, and socially responsible. Because when they are going to move in the real world, curriculum is definitely going to help them, but the thing that's going to make the difference is the character that they carry, the personality that they have. So, more than anything, that matters the most. And each one of us are already working on that. And yes, we'll continue to do that. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.